Hello and welcome to the San Francisco Dance Film Festival's Spring 2022 Festival, which includes a screening of Swan Lake by Ballet Préslocage. I'm Claudia Bauer, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with company founder and choreographer Angelin Préslocage about this production. Hello, Angelin, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you very much. Hello, San Francisco. I'm so sad not to be with you because I love your city, and maybe next time.
Angelin was born in France and studied classical ballet before turning to contemporary dance and training with Zina Romet and Merce Cunningham, among other esteemed artists. He founded the Provence-based company in 1984 and has choreographed more than 55 works for Ballet Préslocage and an array of companies, including New York City Ballet, Staatsoper Berlin, and Paris Opera Ballet. Among his many awards are a Benoit de la Danse, a Bessy Award, and in 2019, election into the French Academy of Fine Arts. Angelin, let's start with your vision for this work. The Swan Lake that most of us are familiar with is a romantic tragedy, but you reimagined Swan Lake as an allegory on climate change and pollution. What motivated that?
What motives that? This is the reality that motivates my choice to bring this tragedy in our tragedy. The idea is very simple. It's on the title. You can see that Swan and Lake, this is two words that have question with the climate. And for example, Swan, we don't know if our children will, and the children of our children will know what is a swan in the future. And for the lake, there is a lot of problem with lake who are completely polluted with pollution, yes. And this is a real problem of environmental question. And that's why I transpose the Swan Lake in this context, yeah.
So in your story, the sorcerer Rothbart wants to exploit a fossil fuel deposit near the lake, and Odette is a young woman who tries to stop him, and then he turns her into a swan. And I couldn't help but thinking of Greta Thunberg, and since you're mentioning children, how important young people are in changing the future.
Yes, it can be like that in the imaginary of the audience, because there is some woman, some girl in the world that try to fight about this problematic. And obviously I was thinking of Greta Thunberg also when I work on the piece, but it's more open than of Greta Thunberg. I think a lot of people are very aware of this question, yes.
So it's very interesting also how classical ballets have really lent themselves to modern thematic retellings. Operas do that as well. So, for example, Akram Khan's Giselle for English National Ballet with a sort of working person's theme. Why do you think that is? Why is that so effective?
I think it's like in theater, you have La Mouette de Chekhov or Romeo and Juliet, or a lot of story, a lot of theatrical piece are restaged during the age with different vision and according of our society also. And it's very important to question, to question our period with the thematic of the past also, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about the music too. Obviously, Tchaikovsky's score is iconic, and most people who have seen ballets will be familiar with it. But you've rearranged some of it. You've added contemporary electronic music. How did you approach this music?
I had a kind of dramaturgy, and I try really to find the perfect music for this dramaturgy. A lot of part of the Swan Lake of Tchaikovsky was really perfect, but for certain moment, I need something else. Then I first go to other pieces of Tchaikovsky, like symphonies or concerto, Then I find some element and it was really good. But beyond that, I also need, at this moment when I was working, of more atmospheric music. And for that, I use electronic music also to bring to the industrial field and to show different texture of sound.
One of my favorite scenes in this production is the office party, where everyone is dancing and drinking champagne, and it's very relatable and familiar, and it's almost a little bit takes you by surprise. It's humorous in a way. Why did you want to include a scene like that?
No, it's really funny, and also it's a kind of a gimmick, But the question was also our attitude. It's like in the movie Don't Look Up. This movie? Everybody knows a catastrophe is coming, but everybody don't care. And seeing people drinking champagne and dancing, at the moment that something tragic will arrive, it's exactly what happened in our period, in our society with this problem of pollution and climatic question. Yeah.
In terms of the choreography, there are echoes of the traditional choreography, such as when the swans are dancing beside the lake and you have them, folding their arms over. And of course, you have the wings. You also have very expressionistic contemporary movement. Can you talk about your choreographic vision for this work?
I think that there is, in the structure of Swan Lake, there is some beautiful things. And on this structure, I tried to build, it's like a skeleton, the structure. And on this skeleton, I tried to put new flesh, which is my vocabulary. But beyond this structure and beyond this skeleton. And that's why there is something who can remind the old version, but the material is really contemporary. Yeah.
It's a really compelling balance between tradition and modernity and abstraction and storytelling. I think it's very effective in conveying your message to a modern audience. How do you approach storytelling in that way? It's, balancing all of those different factors.
I think my first audience is myself. Then I try really to satisfy a sensation of, I want to satisfy the need I have for emotion, for sensuality, for beauty, for sometimes for violence also, because it's part of our world. And we have to face all these different elements. And then I want to find that also in my work, in my choreography.
You do a lot of collaborations, visual artists, fashion designers, filmmakers. This production has very stark, streamlined interiors, lots of projections, and really the costumes are quite lovely, even though they're very simple. It's very contemporary, and yet again, I do feel that emotion in it. So as you're working with your collaborators, how does that work to put something together that's new and different and yet so anchored in a story?
It's a kind of alchemy, it's like kitchen. You put some ingredient and you hope that everything will fit together. But obviously we talk a lot and we have a lot of reflection and question on the different elements. And at the end of the process, we go at the right point. And because we start from a lot of things and we reduce, and we simplify, and we try to find the essence of the dramaturgy with the set, with the costume, also with the composition of the music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk more about the costumes? I think the costumes for the White Swans, I just think they're very, very beautiful. How did that, like, what did you want to look like? Like, what was the look you wanted?
I wanted first to have the arms very free, because I was thinking that obviously for swans, the wings are very important, and the wings of the dancer are their arms, obviously. Then I wanted the arms very, very shiny and very free, and also I want feathers in the costumes, but not real feathers, just evocation of feathers, and that's what we had, because Igor Shaburin find a very specific and very emotional way to explain that, to give the sensation of feather in the costume, mm-hmm. But without putting real feather.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't use real feathers. Can you talk about the projections as well? There's a long series of projections at the beginning during her transformation. And I think it would help viewers to have a little bit of explanation of the vision that you had for that. What do the projections represent?
The projections are not really a movie. It's animation, on dit. Comment on dit ça? It's film d'animation en français, which means it's from drawing and from constructing the image, and that's what I was thinking is very interesting, because it's not the reality, it's an idea, it's an image of the reality, but completely twisted, and that's what I want for this production. Not the reality, but like a phantasm or of the reality. Yeah.
And you have a lot of group dances, a lot of ensemble dances where everyone is doing, mirroring each other in the choreography. What does that symbolize to you?
I think we are in a period that we need to get together, and dancing together is very important for me. It gives a sensation of fraternity, we say that, I don't know, yeah. And the idea to dance together, to share the movement and to share the space, is a kind of ritual which bring us really together in a deep way. And that's why, for me, it's very important. And the precision of the movement also is connecting us. Right.
When I see these group dances with everyone doing the same thing, I think of conformity as well. And people not making the changes that need to be made to address climate change. Was that also part of your thinking?
Yes, also. It's kind of, comment on dit, formatage, in terms of everybody has to go in the same way in certain country and society, like dictatorial society. And it's an idea also of that, yes.
So, Angelin, sometimes when choreographers take on one of these classical ballets and change it, audiences resist the change. Have audiences been receptive to this work?
Oh, I was very happy with the response of the audience. Everywhere we go, it's very fantastic, the way that people feel this story. Because I keep all the romanticism, all the love story, all the emotion of the couples. And I think it's important. It's not just to criticize our society, but underneath there is a love story on this ballet. And that's why maybe people are able to have the emotion of the couples, but also the question, the political question in a certain way. And the balance of these two elements are very important in the ballet. And that's why maybe people most of the time are very convinced and happy because they get out of the theater with some question, but also with some emotion that they received during the performance.
It's also impossible to resist your dancers. They're spectacular.
Thank you. I will tell them.
Was there a particular reason that you chose Swan Lake, or an attachment or association you have with the ballet that you felt made it the right choice for doing this?
You know, there is about 30 years I resist not to do this ballet. And then, but what made me go to this project was the music of Tchaikovsky, because I had the opportunity to work on a small element of Swan Lake for a gala evening. And I accepted this gala evening, and I worked on the music of Tchaikovsky, and suddenly I discovered the powerful of this music for the dance. And suddenly I decided really to jump on this project.
Yeah, the music is so compelling. And it's funny how some music just seems to last generation after generation after generation. There is something about it that just goes straight into beyond the ears, it's straight into the body.
You're absolutely right, yeah.
When people watch this film or see your production live, what would you like them to do with that? What would be your hope for the future after seeing this?
But I'm not sure I can change anything in the past, but if it can give the idea to people that they can maybe live differently, to help not to go in this tragedy of climatic cauchemar, it will be very nice.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today, Angelin. On behalf of the San Francisco Dance Film Festival, thank you for watching, and we hope you have the opportunity to join us for the screening of Swan Lake.
Thank you.